What is going on, guys? My name is Juan, and welcome to today's video. So, time has finally arrived to predict the Premier League season for 2021-22. But before we do that, let's take a quick review of what happened last season, just for those of you that aren't caught up can know what's going on. So last season, Manchester City won the Premier League. Manchester United got second, Liverpool got third, and Chelsea got fourth. So the top four teams all get Champions League football, which is the most prestigious tournament in club football. In fifth place was Leicester City, and sixth place was West Ham, and those teams will be playing in the Europa League, which is Europe's second-rate club competition, not as prestigious as the Champions League, but still great nonetheless. And then seventh place was Tottenham, who are going to be playing in the Europa Conference League, which is a brand new European competition, and not a lot of teams are really that excited to play in it, I think. And you can see all these other teams finishing in those places. And then the bottom three teams were Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United. So the bottom three teams that finish in the Premier League season will get relegated to the division below, which is called the Championship. So those were the three teams that will no longer be in the Premier League this season. So what are the three teams that will replace them? Well, in the Championship, Norwich City won the championship, so they get automatically promoted, as well as Watford, who finished second. And then from third through sixth, they do this playoff system. And then Brentford, who finished third, won the playoffs. So our three new teams are going to be Norwich, Watford, and Brentford for this Premier League season. So without further ado, let's get into my predictions for the new season. Okay, we're back. So we're going to start off from the bottom of the table and then make our way up to the champions. So the three teams that I have getting relegated are unfortunately going to be the three teams that just got promoted: Watford, Norwich, and Brentford. As for Watford, their main player is going to be Ismail Assar, the forward. He's going to be majorly responsible for their creativity and for their goals. I just don't think that the rest of the players around him are Premier League quality. A majority of the squad got relegated with Watford the season prior to last season. And unfortunately, I'm going to have them in 20th. As for 19th, I put Norwich City, team that also got relegated the season prior to last season. And they have a lot of the same players from that season. They have brought in some new names. Billy Gilmore on loan from Chelsea, I think, is a good midfield option for them. I think might be his breakout season in the Premier League. They've also signed Josh Sargent, the American striker from Werder Bremen. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that Josh Sargent is going to have a good season. I watch him for the US sometimes. I don't think he scores enough goals. He didn't for Werder Bremen, and they got relegated from the Bundesliga. So I think the same is going to be with Norwich. Timu Puki is going to be a lot of source of goals, and I think he's not going to have as great a season as he did the last time he was in the Premier League, where he scored 11 goals. So not looking good for Norwich. As for 18th, I have Brentford. Now, I like Ivan Toney, their striker. A lot of people are putting money on him to have a really good season in the Premier League. I just don't know a lot about Brentford. I like them as a team. They played really good in the Championship for the past few years. They just couldn't get that promotion, but they finally did it. They're in the Premier League, and I'm excited to see what they have to show in the Premier League. So the teams I have barely missing out on relegation, we have Southampton, Burnley, and Brighton. So as for Southampton, they had a bad season last year out. After the 9-0 that happened 2 seasons ago, they lost 9-0 to Leicester City. It seemed like things have turned around for this team. It seemed like Ralph Hasenhüttl, the manager, has figured things out. Danny Ings was scoring all the goals. But then at the end of last season, everything just fell apart. They kept on losing games, and they did not end the season well at all. They lost 9-0 yet again, this time to Manchester United. And during the offseason, they lost a lot of their key players. Ryan Bertrand has left. They lost Danny Ings, most importantly, to Aston Villa. And it looks like they're going to be losing Yannick Vestergaard to Leicester City. And they still have James Ward-Prowse at the moment. They have Che Adams up top. They bought Adam Armstrong from Blackburn. But overall, this team is losing quality, and I'm barely going to have them surviving relegation. As for Burnley, last season they finished 17th, so they barely survived the drop. They haven't made any great improvements to this side. They still have Sean Dyche as their manager. I think he's a great manager. They've done well to be in the Premier League as long as they have. However, time might catch up to them, but I still think that Sean Dyche will help them survive relegation this time out. But seriously, this squad needs improvement quickly if it wants to keep staying in the Premier League. As for Brighton, I like Brighton. They're a good side. They play attractive football. Their manager has this philosophy that seems to have improved their style of play, but they just don't score goals. Neil Maupay drastically underperforming his XG. Brighton are the XG gods because like XG, which is expected goals, predicts them to be like third or fourth in the Premier League, but they always end up fighting relegation. They have lost Ben White to Arsenal for £50 million, I think. And that's going to be a big loss for them, but they still have quality defenders. Lewis Dunk, Premier League proven. Roberto Sanchez in that, is a good goalkeeper. But the thing is, can they score the goals this time to help propel them up the table? So I'll have them in 15th. So as for the mid-table fodder, we'll get into that right now. Also, I hope you like my office background. We got the Michael Scott thing right there. We got some toys, and I hope you like my Chivas shirt from the 15-16 season, by the way. Just pulling that out there. Okay, so the teams that are going to be mid-table, they may have some problems with relegation, but nothing too serious. We'll have Crystal Palace in 14th, Newcastle in 13th, and West Ham in 12th. So Crystal Palace, the big story is that Roy Hodgson has left the club as their manager. Replacing him is Patrick Vieira, Arsenal club legend. But as a manager, he still has yet to prove what he's worth. He did well with New York City back in America, but however, his next job in Nice in France didn't go as planned. He got sacked, and people are questioning whether he is actually a quality manager. And taking over this Crystal Palace side, it does have some talent. Eberechi Eze in the midfield. They still have hold of Wilfried Zaha up front. And I like their goalkeeper, Guaita, as well. As for recruitment that they've brought in, the only one I can think of is Joachim Anderson from Lyon, who played for Fulham last time out, and they got relegated. So who knows how that's going to pan out. I still think that they are going to survive, although they may have problems. And whether Patrick Vieira can get the best out of this team is yet to be seen. So I have them 14th. That's for Newcastle United. They play the worst brand of football I've ever seen. And a lot of people, Geordies, the Newcastle fans, they absolutely hate the style of play. And I don't blame them. They just like sit back, defend. They don't carry possession of the ball at all. And it's just a few key players, quality players, Callum Wilson, Alan St. Maximin, to score the goals up top that really keep them in survival. Because without those players, they're for sure get relegated. But I have them in 13th because even though they play terribly, they somehow pick up points. Steve Bruce has found a way to get this team points. A key thing for them is to get Joe Willock from Arsenal back on loan. He was with them for the latter half of the season and really carried the squad up to a 12th place finish because it seemed like they've been battling relegation the whole season. And then at the end, they just finished 12th, which on the basis of things is not that bad. As for 12th, unfortunately, I have West Ham. They did finish 6th last season, which is an incredible finish for the Hammers. However, they're going to be playing in the Europa League this season, and they have not brought back Jesse Lingard back on loan from Manchester United. And Jesse Lingard was really the player that helped get them up to a 6th place finish because they had a really great start to the season and they were really high up in the table around December. And then when they brought Jesse Lingard, he helped keep that momentum. He helped West Ham keep on pushing, and they finished 6th. So without him and with a thin squad playing in Europe, I think that West Ham are going to struggle, and I have them in 12th. So now let's go over to 11th, 10th, and 9th, I guess. 11th, I have Wolves. Now, the thing about Wolves is that last season was a really bad season. They lost Raul Jimenez with a skull fracture back in November, I think, the Mexican striker. And they have him back, but I don't think he's going to be the same player as he was before his skull fracture, unfortunately. As Mexican myself, I have fond memories of Raul Jimenez. I remember the bicycle kick against Panama in 2013, which basically helped us secure World Cup qualification back then. They lost Rui Patricio, their goalkeeper, brought in Jose Sa from Olympiacos in Greece. They lost their manager, Nuno Espirito Santo. He went to Tottenham. They brought in Bruno Lage, who I don't think he's going to be as successful with Wolves as Nuno was. I do think that Francisco Trincao is an interesting signing, or he's on loan from Barcelona. I'm not sure how well he's going to do, but who knows? Wolves is an interesting team. I'm having them 11th just because I want Raul Jimenez to do well. As for Everton, they've had another bad offseason. They lost their manager, the experienced, the calm, cool Carlo Ancelotti. He went to Real Madrid. They brought in Rafa Benitez, Liverpool legend, their most hated rivals. Evertonians hate Rafa Benitez. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he gets along with the fans. As for the new signings, they brought in nothing too inspirational. They brought Andros Townsend from Crystal Palace. I think he was in Crystal Palace. Yep. Other than that, I don't think they've made too many inspiring signings. It seems like the likes of James Rodriguez wants to leave the club. Seems like Rafa Benitez does not want him in there. As well as another one of their creative players, Gylfi Sigurdsson. The situation going on with him. He's been suspended from the club. I don't want to get further into that. Yeah, not looking great for Everton right now, so I'll have them right in the middle. As for Leeds United, they had a great season back in the Premier League, their first season back in well over a decade. And I think to finish it up, or they'll follow it up with another 9th place finish. Marcelo Bielsa is a great tactical manager. He drills his players really well. And I think eventually his players are going to get exhausted, but I don't think it's going to be this season. I think they have another season before some of their players finally get exhausted. They have great players, Calvin Phillips, Rafinha up top. It's going to do wonders. Patrick Bamford as well. I just think they have really solid players. They have a really solid manager, and they'll finish 9th. So let's go over. I'm going to do 8th, 7th. Yeah, I'll do 8th, 7th, and 6th. So in 8th place, I have Aston Villa. Obviously, the big talking point is the loss of Jack Grealish to Manchester City, £100 million. He was their main man. He was their creator. He was their best player by far, their captain, and they have lost him. But I think they've recruited well. They brought in Danny Ings from Southampton. He's going to be a good goal scorer for them, as well as bringing in Emi Buendia from Norwich City. He's going to be, I think he's the closest to replacing Jack Grealish in that creative midfield role. They've also brought in Leon Bailey, the Jamaican winger from Bayer Leverkusen. Another great player for them. And they still have good players in back. Emi Martinez, as their goalkeeper, is one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I just think that they're building a solid squad, Aston Villa, and the loss of Jack Grealish, although it may hurt them a little bit, I still think that they've recruited well enough to where they can still finish in 8th. As for Tottenham, it's sad to see Tottenham reverting back to the days before Mauricio Pochettino. So obviously they reached a Champions League final. They were battling for the Premier League titles. But not anymore. They brought in Nuno Espirito Santo from Wolves as their new manager. It took them forever to find a new manager, by the way. This offseason, they went through like 12 different candidates and landed on Espirito Santo. They still have hold of Harry Kane, which is the league's best striker, the league's top goal scorer from last season, one of the best players in the Premier League. They still have hold of him. I do think that Tottenham will keep hold of him. I don't think it's going to go to Manchester City. for like 120, 150 million pounds. I think he'll stay. They still have Heung-min Son as well, another one of Tottenham's key creator and goal scorers. They brought in Guti Romero from Atalanta, which is a solid defender to replace Alderweireld, who went to, I think, Saudi Arabia or Qatar, one of those countries. And yeah, underwhelming from Tottenham, finished 7th yet again, but it's just what I've got them as. As for 6th, I've got Arsenal, one of England's historic big clubs. How the mighty have fallen. Last season, I think they finished 8th. They started off terribly. Mikel Arteta looked like he was going to get the sack, but then he turned things around. After that victory against Chelsea around December, it seemed like Arteta's figured things out. They brought in Ben White for $50 million from Brighton, and he's a solid defender. I just don't think that the defense was the problem. It seemed like there was a major problem scoring goals. Aubameyang had a bad season last time out. He wasn't scoring enough goals. Obviously, Lacazette, I don't think he's quality enough to help Arsenal reach the levels. I do like a lot of the younger players, Bukayo Saka, Emile Smith-Rowe, young English talents that they might have even better seasons this time around. So I'll have Arsenal to finish 6th, although things are speculative. So only 5 spots remain. So who do I have missing out on the crucial top 4, missing out on Champions League places? I have Leicester City. Now, Leicester City are a brilliantly run club. They have, back in the 2015-16 season, they were 5,001 odds to win the Premier League, and they actually did it. And ever since then, they've recruited well. They've had a couple years after where form was down, but ever since Brendan Rodgers came in, they've really improved their squad. They have a really great squad with the likes of Tielemans in the midfield. And going up top, Jamie Vardy, he is getting older, but I think they've got some players to help carry the load, likes of Iheanacho, who really stepped up last season. And then they brought in Patson Daka in as well, and I think he's a really great player. He's going to help Leicester. The lesion, the injury to Wesley Fofana at center back, he broke his leg during a preseason match, is going to affect them a little bit, but I think they have enough cover in defense, especially with Yannick Vestergaard possibly coming in to help deal with Fofana's injuries. Sorry. So I have Leicester City in 5th. So now the top 4 is what everybody's been wanting to know. Who are going to make Champions League places in the Premier League? So I'm going to do 4th and 3rd for now. I have Manchester United in 4th and Liverpool in 3rd. Manchester United has had a great offseason, bringing in Jadon Sancho, one of the like best young English players in the world, and they also brought in a experienced winner in Rafael Varane in defense. And for Chitu, it was only like 35 million pounds. So 2 excellent signings for them. The reason I have them in 4th is because I think the other teams around them are just better. They have better managers. They have better squads all around, which is why I have United in 4th. As for Liverpool, they've had a bad season last time around. They did end up finishing 3rd. However, they had a lot of injuries, most notably losing Virgil van Dijk in the defense, one of the best defenders in the world, one of the best players in the world, in fact, around the time of his injury. So he's back now. They also have back Joe Gomez, who was also injured. They brought in Ibrahim Konate from Leipzig, who, if Liverpool do suffer any serious injuries, then they'll be better prepared to deal with them now that they can move Fabinho into midfield. Thiago is going to have another season. Mo Salah, one of the best players in the league, is going to score a bunch of goals for them. Jurgen Klopp is a brilliant manager. There's just a lot of things going right for Liverpool right now, and things can fall apart quickly, but I'm going to have them 13th. Not 13th. I'm going to have them 3rd. So the big question is who I have as champions of the Premier League. The only two teams left are Chelsea and Manchester United. No, Manchester City. So let's see what happens. Yeah, I went boring. I had Chelsea second, Manchester City first. Realistically, any of the teams in the top four, whether it be Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, or Man United, any of them can realistically win the league. But Chelsea, they've brought in Romelu Lukaku, confirmed today actually. They brought in Romelu Lukaku for upwards of 115 million pounds. And that is a lot of money, but they're bringing in a great striker. He scored plenty of goals with Inter Milan. Sucks. It's a shame though, because they had Lukaku at Chelsea, but they sold him for cheap. And then he's played for Everton, United, and Inter. And he's just gotten better and better and better. And he's going to score loads of goals for this club. They have a brilliant squad, a brilliant manager in Thomas Tuchel. But I just don't think that that's going to be enough to overtake this Manchester City squad. Obviously, the best squad in the league. They won the Premier League last season. They have one of the best managers in the world, and Pep Guardiola. Yeah, Manchester City are a joke. And they bought Jack Grealish for 100 million pounds. Yeah, this side is stacked. The only problem I see them having is that they don't have a main striker, a goal scorer. Now, the rumor is Harry Kane. The rumor has been Harry Kane for months now. And as the transfer window nears an end, I don't think they'll bring in Harry Kane. If they bring in Harry Kane, then forget it. Man City are definitely winning the league. But I don't think they're going to sign Harry Kane. Obviously, Manchester City's main goal is to win the Champions League. They've been trying to win Champions League ever since Pep Guardiola came in. They haven't done so. They've won the league many times, but let's see what happens this season. I do think that they'll win it again. So if we go back, let's take a look at the whole league table as a whole. Trying to figure out how to get this to work. Okay. Boom. I think you can see that. So I have from 1st to 20th place, Watford, Norwich, and Brentford getting relegated. And then the top four, we have Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and the champions, Manchester City. So those are my Premier League predictions. Obviously, predicting the Premier League is impossible. So hopefully I can get close to my predictions. And then once the season ends, I'll be reacting to my predictions, seeing how well I did. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I think next time out, I'll do some Champions League predictions once the sorteo gets finalized. So thank you guys for watching my Premier League predictions, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.